Hey!
Welcome.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. Welcome.
Yes.
Back to another episode of Talking Shit ATL.
Yeah.
So, we are starting off Black History Month. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Yeah, we're starting it off right. But let's keep it moving for Black History Year. But
all of it. All year long.
Yeah. But we will be sharing things all month long, and today we are going to start with people who are kind of, they aren't talked about as much in history. They might be unknown or little known in the Black community, who have had major strides in the states, in the U.S. and in the world. So
right.
yeah,
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
And we definitely wanted to start this month out again, accomplish those people. I know a lot of times we do hear kind of the same stories or those kind of things, and again, there's no way of saying who's quote unquote unknown, because again, a lot of these people have made significant impact where
Right.
you may have heard of, but there might not be a movie done about them or something.
Or they might not be at the history books. You might have to research yourself
You're right,
for them.
right.
But
I think that as we continue to make strides for progression, continuously, always, in this country, and of course, we've gone and come so far, and not to be let's talk about all the this and that. We've come so far, I think, as a whole and as a society on both ends of the spectrum. When it comes to again, Black History Month and acknowledging blacks and things we contribute and we continue to contribute, because we're still making pivotal movements forward, with our own community, our own growth as well, as contribute to this country. So again, this is just highlighting a few of those few people, again, who may not hear a lot about, but
and there's way more than we're going to be able to cover today.
Absolutely.
So definitely look into it for yourself. Talk with your friends and family about people that you find, and then comment on our episode, and tell us stories about what you found, or who you want us to talk about throughout the year. So
absolutely, and I think that I guess I'm gonna start with one person in particular. I got a few people, but this person really been sticking out a lot because I just think that it's just again really dope. And his name is Lewis Latimer, and he was an inventor and a draftsman. I believe his parents were actually enslaved, and I'm always baffled by those kind of things, people who literally come from where a previous generation were enslaved, and then they make of course monumental movements towards progression, or tribute to our community and our society, literally being one generation removed from slavery. To me, it's always really, just kind of really groundbreaking in where their mindset was as well, during that time, because they already saw their parents or heard the stories of the parents being enslaved, and then being okay, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna or have this gift and try to find a way that it can enhance everybody. But Lewis Latimer worked alongside Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison, because he definitely he worked well with drawing patents and stuff. That's what he kind of did, and could make really good drawings, really intricate drawings of different models and stuff like that. And so he is known for creating a patent for it's used in the light bulb, and it allowed it to make it I lost my notes there. Sorry. We
got all the fact check right here.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So there you go. So he patented or created a patent that improved the method for producing a carbon filament, excuse me, and that made light bulbs more efficient and more affordable. And of course, like the way that we use them now. So he definitely made a major contribution in the development of the light bulb. And I guess he stuck out a lot because again, you don't hear about him a lot, especially when it comes to the invention of the light bulb. Even if it's as it's evolved, over time. But you always do hear about Zed and Graham Bell. You got with Bell South. Attributed to him. Of course, you think about the light bulb, you always hear about Thomas Edison. He's a buddy and all these things. And another major key role is Lewis Latimer. And again, doesn't really get that recognition because there's no companies that we still use after him. There's no he's not on the money or anything else or and I'm not sure if there's certain places that may have statues and stuff, but again, I know as far as when it come to the history of the light bulb, he's definitely one of the names that you don't hear about.
And he was like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, key factor in us all having lights because he made it affordable.
He did.
And because it really for a long time only rich people had electricity when it first was invented anyways.
Right.
So he made it an option for families to...
Exactly. Like I said, definitely a key major part that, again, I think when we talk about people who, again, don't get highlighted enough or whose stories really kind of go untold, I think he definitely fits that mark a little bit more than some of the others that I did find, but especially with that, because like I said, that's... we got lights, everywhere, we don't know a time without them, or like I said, our power go out, we go crazy like during a storm or something. So, so shout out to Lewis Latimer, man, and family and all those things and his contributions. So every time you turn the light, man. Shout out to that boy Lewis.
Thank you.
Buy a pack of light bulbs be 69 cents. It's like I appreciate that.
Yeah, for real. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Lewis.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh man, you imagine
I know.
paying like $50 for a light bulb or something crazy.
I know.
$100 for the replace a light bulb.
Well, also I think about places in the world where it's like they have like summer where like in Antarctica and like other places where it's like winter is like 24 hours of darkness.
Yeah.
Imagine if you didn't have a light bulb and you're just like literally stuck in the dark for 6 months.
Oh my gosh, that's tragic. Still using was those the wick candles, those lanterns?
Yeah, wax candles, I think. Yeah. Or oil. They did oil for a while, which was crazy because that caused all these fires.
Yeah, right.
You just knock it over and your whole house is gone. Yeah.
Done. Oh man, shout out to that boy Latimer, man.
Thank you.
That's hilarious.
Yes, you can go to the good old Dollar Tree.
Get some light bulbs really low.
We love it. Thank you. Yeah. Did you? Okay, so I found several different people, but a ghost is typing on my keyboard right now. Okay. I found several different people, but there's like one main person that I really, really, really want to talk about. So if you have multiple people too that I did, if you want to talk about another person or something, because I got so much on the person that I have.
Okay. So another person is Katherine Johnson, and I know like a lot of people are familiar with Katherine Johnson. Being a crucial component as far as with the early space exploration. I know a lot of people. Even in school and stuff, would always do like a little project, of hers or about hers, and I know, in what is the Hidden Figures movie, they highlighted her a little bit. That really kind of put her kind of on the map as far as who she was and her role. But definitely somebody I want to like again bring up, talk about as well. Just again, I feel like it's always imperative, especially as a person of the Black community, African American community, I do think that it's always important for us to always continuously like know our history, really know the people who made certain things possible, and really that we don't forget them, and not necessarily and also not to not let that legacy die, number one, but also, for us to, be able to like have those models when we, think about like what we can do. And I think that a lot of times, like for, from what I see is like, we come so far from civil rights, we come so far, from segregation and slavery and, all these things to where sometimes it's easy to kind of forget that, kind of that, not just like forget the struggle, so to speak, but more so just like to know and believe like, we have more to our advantage today than we had back then. And so the things that we really can do and contribute continuously to this country, nothing should be able to hold us back. Because again, these people we're dealing with, like I say, you're one generation removed from slavery and segregation and all these things, opposition, and still we're able to contribute and do great things. And so I think that it should be just a monument to us to be able to, okay, let's continue to keep pushing forward. Let's continue to, stand on these legacies and to continue to build and continue to contribute and finding ways to contribute, to society and to ourselves and to our own communities. So yeah, that's kind of my little rant about that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I can go on more about that, but yeah.
Yes. I did want to talk about Margaret E. Bailey really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple people before my main person. So she was a United States Army nurse, corpse colonel. And she served in the Corps for 27 years, from July 1944 to July 1971, and 9 of which she served in France, Germany, and Japan.
Come on now.
And during her career, she advanced from a second lieutenant to a colonel, which is the highest achievable military rank in the nurse corps.
Yes.
She set several landmarks for black nurses in the U.S. military, and becoming the first black lieutenant colonel in 1964. And the first black chief nurse in a mixed non-segregated unit in 1966. And the first black full colonel in 1967. So during World War II, she treated German prisoners of war, and later in her career, she actively worked with minority organizations and advocated to increase black participation in the corps. And after she retired from the Army, she served as a consultant to the Surgeon General in the Nixon administration and worked to increase the numbers of minorities in the nurse corps, and made different speeches supporting equal participation in the U.S. Army. So shout out,
Yes.
special shout out. Her birthday is also on Christmas, so she is an extra fighter, because you really, if you're born on Christmas, you have to fight to be seen, period.
Right.
Let alone
Right.
the time period she was in and everything going on. So, yeah, she is a badass,
It is,
and
though. I love
definitely, if you want to know more about her, she has so many awards and just amazing things.
Yes.
Definitely check her out, Margaret E. Bailey.
Margaret E. Bailey. Yeah, that's definitely one of those. I don't think I've really heard about or ever heard about.
And she's buried in Arlington National Cemetery. If you want to go visit her and pay homage to her.
That's so dope. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to all the military veterans and those who are serving now. For all your work, all the different levels, not just on the front lines, but your nurses and people who do food, and people who do bring water, and all the other jobs that you really don't hear about in the Army.
Yeah, and special shout out to our vets from like World War II and all the.
Yes.
There's so many there's so many different wars that have happened that weren't that long ago.
Right, for sure. Right.
So and people are still alive from serving in World War II. So I mean, not like a huge amount, but yes, there are some. And we do thank you all.
We do thank you.
But especially shout out to our girl Margaret. So.
Okay, Margaret.
Mm-hmm. Um, do you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do want to shout out John Henry Hale. He was born in 1878 and died in 1944. But he was a prominent surgeon, professor, and philanthropist who played a prominent role in establishing the black medical community. He conducted over 30,000 surgeries and practiced medicine and taught at Meharry Medical College for 29 years, mentoring so many different black surgeons. And he did philanthropic work in the local black community in Nashville, Tennessee. They distributed food to the poor. They offered medical care for free, ran free medical classes and lectures. He converted his home with his wife. They converted their home into a local community center and hosted many different local community organizations. He was the president of the National Medical Association in 1935 and received a Distinguished Service Medal. And then he also, his name was given to several different medical organizations, a medical center in California, and a public housing project in Nashville. And yeah, he did. The list goes on for everything he did, and even in this article it talks about how he gradually became a self-taught surgeon. So he practiced for years and years and taught himself a lot so that he could then teach the black community a lot and also give service back. So an amazing legacy, and a lot of work that he did, and he died 8 years before his wife, but his wife also continued his legacy and maintained the Millie E. Hale Hospital that was named after her for those 8 more years.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Definitely check out more on both of them. Like I said, I have a main person coming.
Yeah.
That I really, I'm like, I could not stop looking up things about him. Oh my god, I can't wait. Okay, yes.
Okay. So I'm probably my last person, but I do want to highlight because they don't talk about my boy that much and too often, but definitely more special priority to me than some, because it's actually one of my founders of my fraternity, which is Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and so I do want to highlight one of the jewels, one of my brothers, Vertner Woodson Tandy, who again is one of the founders of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which was founded the campus of Cornell University, Ithaca, New York. And so, again, that being a prolific thing there, especially because, again, for those who don't know, Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is the first intercollegiate fraternity for men of color, especially during that time. And this is one of those things, too, that always brought me to, this organization and to the men who founded this organization, because they too were, less than 100 years removed from slavery. Their family was, but less than 100, I think like 50 years actually. So we're up in there, but so for them to be, at an Ivy League school among all things as well, and to be African American during this time, definitely spoke volume to the type of men that they, that they were, and what they body, especially in the creation of my organization. But however, as well as it goes as far as the history books, because again, we have other founders, but he actually, of course, after college, then he actually became an architect, and he actually became the first architect, African American architect, um, in the New York State, and so he contributed to a lot of art, not artwork, but buildings and architecture that's still in New York. Um, one being, I had it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was playing elevator music for you.
He created the Villa Lawaro, which was a $250,000 mansion for the daughter of the Harlem millionaire Madam C.J. Walker. And Madam C.J. Walker is another prolific person in the black community, with her hair products, and of course being one of the first black millionaires in the country as well. So definitely, check out Madam C.J. Walker. But he commissioned a house for her. He also did an Italian style mansion. Well, the Italian style mansion was completed in 1918, and he also helped in the design of the Ivy Def Apartments and the St. Philip's Apostle Church, which is assuming still in Harlem. They have a whole address and everything. And,
I went to a St. Philip's growing up.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was this one?
No, it was in Jonesboro, I guess. Yeah.
Oh,
but.
Yeah. And he also holds the distinction of being one of the first, or the first African American to pass the military commissioning examination, and was commissioned first lieutenant in the 15th Infantry of the New York State. So definitely shout out to Jules, my founder, my frat brother, Vernon Woodson Tandy on that one. So yeah.
Yes, come on.
Mm-hmm. Big history across the board, you know what I mean?
Well, no disrespect to your brother, but I'm about to talk about an Omega. So,
they were boys, man. That's my boys, man.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Okay, cool.
It's so funny.
So I am going to talk about Bayard Rustin. He was incredible, and some of you might have heard about him because also on November 20th 2013, when Barack Obama was president, he awarded him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But when he was growing up, his grandma who raised him was very active in civil rights. So her name's Julia Rustin. She was a Quaker, and she attended the African Methodist Episcopal Church. She was also a member of the NAACP. And while he was growing up, NAACP leaders such as W.E.B. Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson were frequent guests in their home. And so, with all these influences very, very early in his life, he campaigned against racially discriminatory Jim Crow laws during its entirety. She was also... shout out to his grandma on this one, especially, and this is a big reason why I wanted to shout him out, because Rustin is a gay man, and one of the first times he had expressed his sexuality to his grandmother, that he preferred spending time with males rather than females, she responded, in quotes, she said, "I suppose that's what you need to do." Ain't no thing. Right. She was not worried about it. Right, and that is amazing, especially the time period, right. Everything considered, it ain't no thing. Who cares? Right. That's fine. That's what you need to do because that's who you are. That's fine. Right. And that was just so beautiful. Because he actually wasn't even outed as a gay man until about the 1950s, when he was arrested and served jail time for having sex with a man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, he was in Omega Psi Phi at Wilberforce University, which was the first college to be owned and operated by African Americans in 1951.
Oh, nice. Where is that?
And
You know where that's located?
I can't remember. I know it's. Let's see. Yep, Ohio. Yep.
Ohio, okay.
I was like, I knew it, but I can't remember it. Yeah, so in Ohio. And then, if you don't know, Omega Sci-Fi was founded in 1911 at Howard University, which is, us Atlanteans know. So, yeah, major shout out there. And then, he actually, what a lot of people don't know is that, he really led a lot of the things that we talk about, and he worked side by side with Martin Luther King Jr., was one of the most important civil rights leaders of the 20th century, but a lot of people, once they found out he was gay, were not about it, like didn't want him leading things, and then also told MLK to let him go.
Oh, really?
And not work with him, and he refused. So also a special shout out to the man everyone knows, because he he was not having that, and that was absolutely incredible, and definitely people. I mean, in general, it's wild to be like, we're celebrating you treating a gay person like a normal human being.
Right.
But for the time period and, everything considered, this is huge and amazing. Because a lot of people didn't treat him like a human being. He got jailed for just loving who he loves. But yeah, I mean, he was openly, Jim Crow was still going on until the 1950s. So Jim Crow laws. So he was openly gay during that time, which is incredible and such, is so powerful. I mean, that at that time, homosexuality was considered a mental illness. Not just, anything, people being against it, it was actually considered a mental illness. And yeah, he served 2 years in federal prison for, but that was for refusing, that was in addition to serving time for the homosexuality, because he refused to fight in World War II, because of his pacifist Quaker beliefs. So
he was jailed 2 different times, or
yeah.
that was all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And was they jailing people for being homosexual back then? Was that a thing?
Yeah. So
was that already a thing, or was it because he's black and homosexual go jail? How did
I mean, I'm sure it added to the sentence, I would assume, especially during the era that it happened. Right. But let me see. I know I saw it on my notes somewhere. I do not know. Let's see. But yeah.
That story's wild.
If y'all know, drop it in the comments,
Please
and
do.
maybe I'll find it as we go along.
That's just wild. There's so many layers. There's already so many layers.
Yeah, exactly.
To it.
There's so many, and there's so many things he did too.
Yeah.
But Rustin, he was inspired. MLK Jr. and Gandhi were also they are my 2 biggest inspirations in life, and I really, really hope and pray that I find some way to make an impact on the world like they did, because it's just they made so much progress for the world, and their basic message is just treat people with love. Why is that so hard?
Yeah.
Everyone should love each other and should be treated equal. Sorry. I haven't cried on an episode in a while. I haven't been together. But Yeah, so Rustin was also inspired by Gandhi and traveled to King's home in 1956 to convince him to adopt non-violence as a protest tactic and a way of life. And because of his words, that was a revelation to King, who had armed bodyguards in his home at the time. Mm-hmm. So Rustin really, like, Bayard Rustin inspired everything that we know about Martin Luther King and about the March on Washington. He actually was the primary person who set up the March on Washington and made it what it is. And so that following year, Rustin helped King found the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. But then again, like, some of the inner circle of King pressured to drop Rustin, but he refused, and that no one could ever replace him.
Right, absolutely.
But sometimes Rustin did keep a low public profile during civil rights movement. But later in his life, he was much more outspoken about his sexuality and has been hailed a hero by LGBT activists. And that his crowning achievement was organizing the March on Washington. And that brought 200,000 peaceful protests of different races and religions to the nation's capital in August 1963. And that was a major success that led to so many things actually changing. And that he pulled off the logistics of gathering this in less than 2 months.
Really? That's wild. That's a big, that is wild. It's so,
And they didn't have social media like we do now.
You're right. 250,000 people. Of course, like, so that march was, it was monumental. We got, the whole, I have a dream speech from that march and from that moment. And, and again, the whole idea was definitely to, bring about people who, again, don't make the history books, people you don't hear about at all. And this is the first time. Some of the people I've heard about a bit, but I've never heard of this man. Yeah. For him to have done so much, especially behind the scenes and the back end, definitely deserve more flowers and more recognition.
And his family did so much before he even did anything. They are all legends and should be treated as such, because it's just amazing. Like, it is. I had so many people plan to talk about today, but then it was like the more I read about him, I was like, okay, well, he's got it. We need to talk about him, because I'm so glad that Obama recognized him. Yes. Because that
he's been talk about.
He organized the Freedom Rides. He he taught King about nonviolence. He did the March on Washington. He did the Crusade for Citizenship. He organized before the Montgomery boycott. He organized a group called In Friendship, which provide material and legal assistance to people threatened with eviction from their tenant farms and homes. He became the head of AFL-CIOs, which is a Philip Randolph Institute, promoting the oh my gosh, why can't I say that? Integration. There we go. I had to breathe for a second. Of formerly all-white unions, and promoted the unionization of African Americans. During the 70s and 80s, he served on many humanitarian missions. He aided refugees in Vietnam and Cambodia. At the time of death in 1987, he was on a humanitarian mission in Haiti.
What?
Yeah.
So literally to his whole
to
life.
The last
second. I love that. I was like, who is this guy?
I know.
We definitely need more.
I know
about him. But you talk, man. That's.
And just
that's a lot. Refuge missions and
all of
Vietnam. All of it. This man was low key a real life superhero. Literally,
and for several different communities too.
That is wild.
He helped everyone. And And he later on, like, really was public advocate for gay rights, too. And, I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, you can keep reading, and it's, like, more things that he did. Like, I just...
Yeah, lived, like, several lives.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, talk about, like, sometimes, like, you know, having those, like, major key players who, again, never get the recognition. But, you know, without them, you know, I mean...
We would not be here today.
We wouldn't be here. And,
absolutely not.
And even the people, like, you know what I'm saying, like... The people that, like I said, all the people that's like behind the scenes that pull the strings for. I mean, just so many different things. There's so many different fields who, again, will never get the recognition, but who may have had, you know, major positions in or influence in, you know, again, other likes. I mean, to have MLK, who everybody knows, you know,
but people really didn't know him that much before March on Washington too, which is wild. He wasn't even one of the keynote speakers.
Who?
Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like, people knew of him. Some people knew of him, but he wasn't a mainstream name until then.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
And that's wild to think about, too.
That is wild to think about, though. Really.
Yeah. And it's like, who knows what his speech would have been if it wasn't for Rustin.
Yeah.
And him encouraging him to be nonviolent.
Yeah. That's
like,
true.
And they brought 200,000 people to March on Washington when all they had was a house phone. Like, imagine what we could do now.
Oh my gosh, so true.
Like, that's what is so inspiring, and I've been trying to figure out my whole life.
Yeah,
is like how can I help? What can I do? Because we have everything at our fingertips now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I like I said, because I do feel again, like even more so again, like our own community, you know, it's like that kind of thing. Like without phones and stuff, we were able to come together in a peaceful manner, you know, for the things that shaped everybody and affected everybody, you know, and we haven't been able to come together in that large of a number, I don't think, since, you know. And like I said, we have more to our disposal now, you know, for a lot of call to actions or, you know, things that we want to see, you know, certain changes in certain places. You know, we can really make a lot of noise and bigger efforts. But yeah, so that's crazy though.
Hey,
I don't know.
Hey, if y'all have ideas on how we can, because it's not like, I mean, things have progressed a lot, but things are not perfect. We still got a long way to go. So if anybody has ideas,
like, I mean, you know, we get, you know, things here. I mean, but until I think everything is inclusive, you know, for everybody, and I mean, I think the biggest goal is that, I mean, ultimately, you're just trying to, you know, live out the, you know, pursue happiness and life and liberty, you know, and I think that everybody who's in this country deserves that, because again, that's what we're supposed to be founded on. And I think that until we all actively get what we were founded on and supposed to be promised in this country, I think there's always room to fight, no matter who needs the fight, you know. And it could be us today, someone else tomorrow, a different group the next day, but I mean, we should all be advocating for, you know, those groups or communities or whatever they do that feel like they don't have a voice or a stance, or things are being, you know, where they're treated unfairly, or, you know, I mean, I'm always believe in human rights about anything and everything. So
I mean, right now the biggest thing I see in the world really is like the Palestinian and Ukraine community that are still dealing with a lot of violence and hurt and murder.
And they need it, and it's wild. And I mean, sometimes again, even in our country, we get, because it's not happening here, you know, again, we should still, like, you know, try to be supportive of those different communities abroad and lending support where we can. And that's one of those things that's so deep within themselves, to where it's like, it's really one of the things, like, outside, you know, kind of feel like, what can you do, really? Because I mean, it's that their beef been going on for a long time, and at this point, I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like they ready to take it.
I mean,
to the
there's
end.
been genocide happening for decades.
For decades,
yeah.
And I feel like now they like, look, we ain't gonna go down quietly, We ain't gonna just. Yeah. I mean, that's admirable, but man, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's so much with that.
And I get, different. It's always been for different reasons and stuff as to war and reasons for war and all these things. But sometimes I do feel like, you just feel like it's so far advanced to where we're still fighting, especially like, on the level of bloodshed,
Yeah. No.
It could become, it's like I feel like if anything we get a little bit more violent, but it's
right. I get people like, I get the whole like defensive murder, like someone murders your family and then you go after them. I get it logically, but I feel like as country leaders anywhere, someone who is a leader in the government of the country, if you are not mature enough to sit down and have a conversation, you should not be in that position.
I agree. That's I have a friend we talk about it a lot, but that was always my, like, I always kept going back to. I said, but what people who made this decision, what are you know what I mean? Like that's where it comes down to for me. It's like people who made this decision, and then to do these different things, and then you don't have any outs or plans for the people you're supposed to be representing. Is wild.
And it's like, the people in the government are usually the ones pulling the trigger on these situations, but they're never, almost never, the ones that are being hurt or affected by it. It's their people.
Their people, right? Exactly. And that was where I kept going back to. I was like, but we talk about the source of when it started. Who made?
They're still rocking and rolling, eating at the Capitol. That's a Hunger Games reference. Like, they are.
It's wild. Like I say, you just see it like I say, genocide's happening and all this stuff, and somebody's just like, all right, cool. The whole thing has been wild, but again, I just feel like as far as we've come, you think we would come, it's like, wow. I mean, and then of course this thing affects everybody. It's affecting all countries, because. Different alliances, and for those who may not be like following up with it and stuff like that, but it could get crazy because I think now America's kind of had to kind of really get into it and intervene, and and then other countries are trying to put sanctions on other, so this is definitely creating a divide. Okay, now we got to have beef with you now. So this thing can really cause a rift,
right?
Ripples effect,
right? Because people are either like going after the Jewish community or going after the Palestinian people. And neither of these communities are the ones that we should be pointing fingers at. Right. Like, it is the ones that started it. Well, first of all, that started it all way back when against Palestinian people, but also all the people who are making the decisions to go in and hurt other people. Those are the ones we should be mad at. Yeah. Not the people who are being affected by all the war and genocide. I don't know how we got onto this, but but like, for real, okay. That could be a whole nother episode. Right. But definitely, like,
I think all of these things, from it all stems, from the kind of
it's
hierarchy
still
of it,
social behavior.
And,
and how people will point the fingers at people that have nothing to do with it, and then the ones that are in charge making these decisions go scot-free. And it's at the expense of the people. That was the thing that got me. It was like, because I told my friend, I was like, now that sometimes it's like, okay, we'll let them try to squabble it out and figure it out, but to me it was like, once the first body was dropped, why didn't people intervene? Right.
That was my whole thing about it. It was like, why did 20,000 people have to perish and die before? Be like, what? Maybe we should stop this. Maybe we should do something. Or, and again, it's more internal. This situation is different because it is. There's so much in their history that they're really battling that. Yeah. Again, like, I mean, it go back.
And why are we so focused on sides of the war instead of being for basic human rights?
That's what I feel like. Nobody like can you figure out how to get you guys to live amicably? Is there ever a way or opportunity for you guys to be able to do so? And if not, create something that's going to help both sides, but instead it's just like, all right, cool. But like I said, I mean, by the time because even still, like, okay, cool, we get to a point of restitution in a way, or somebody step in and say, okay, you can't, enough is enough, or whatever. But the amount of loss that's already happened is like, there's no way to, and then what you do ultimately, because this is what literally happens, and this is why the cycle and their cycle has been going on literally this long, is because all the people who will survive, then now you just created 10 years, 20 years, 30 more years of people mad, a whole new generation that's now carrying the battle. Because now we're going to remember what you did. So now those generations of the survivors are going to grow that same fuel. And it's never going to end.
Yeah, shout out. This is not sponsored, but I really hope you do, because I love this show. I don't know if you ever watch Middle Ground by Jubilee. But basically they get people on very strong subjects on opposite sides and ask them tough questions and have them pick, it's like the first question, if you agree with it, you step forward and you talk about it, while the people that don't agree listen, and then everybody steps forward and you all talk about it. And I listened to one about the war. I've listened to so many different ones, and it's just like, some people even pointed it out of we're fighting each other right now, and we should be fighting someone different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Right. He's already talking.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I got you, I hear you, but let's turn the tables at the real people who are responsible.
Because
none of us chose this,
And I mean, that's just, this, and that's kind of the society things, throughout history and time. I mean, all the, you look at all the reasons for the different wars, and I mean, I felt like once we got to a place where, we're not conquering land anymore, which, I mean, historic times, I understand those needs for war because, countries was growing and developing, people, but I feel like, we definitely come very far to where, every continent, every country is, so nobody's invading anything as far as getting territory. So I'm like, okay, I feel like, then what are we,
I mean, really, they are still trying to fight for land, though. That where, and just control over the people.
Well, yeah. With that particular fight is definitely about land. But I mean, as far as since then, any of the other past wars, has it been for land, or it was just?
I feel like most of it has been for land, actually.
Where?
In different wars, I just feel like most of it is for land, or for a petty argument that blows up.
What I want to say is, I feel like the last group have been the second part. It's a lot of the reasons for a lot of the last, few wars and stuff has been kind of some, I mean, great people, doing crazy things, invading stuff, but it was your basis wasn't for,
Yeah, because I mean, this is a really, some people might be mad by this statement, but we're going to say it. Well, I'm going to say it. But, I mean, the United States, I feel like that war went on way too long in Iraq, and we really were just hurting, I feel like, innocent people instead of the people that did 9/11.
Yeah.
And it's that's the continuation of almost every war ends up being that way, where it's just innocent bystanders being murdered.
Yep, that's what it comes to. Oh, we can't come to a diplomatic consensus as diplomats. So let's go.
Why are y'all in charge if you can't figure it out?
Let's go kill some people. You know what I mean? And I think that as you alluded to, and in that sense of emotion you felt as well, but I think that these times continuously we need to be promoting more of the nonviolence methods.
Yes.
And really the ideals of Gandhi, the ideals of MLK, and I think that because at the end of the day, it is again like, it's the people who. We're the ones who suck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're the casualties.
And also the people that you need to listen are not going to listen or take you seriously if you react with violence.
Yeah, right.
Because because they don't see their own violence, they're not going to accept like that you're good in a quote unquote sense or that you're right because they're like, oh well, you were violent about it, so I'm dismissing all of what you're saying. So even to get ahead, you really need to, and it's hard because like especially I'm sure I can't even imagine being in a position where someone has hurt my family, and I know every single part of me would want to hurt them back.
Right.
But the reality of the world is to make the biggest impact as fast as possible, it needs to be nonviolent, or else you're like
creating a cycle.
You're just creating a cycle, and you're turning a blind eye to the people that need to be held accountable.
Right. And you begin to lose. At that point, what we were fighting for.
Yeah, what are you fighting for?
What was the issue at hand? We don't know. We've been fighting for so long, or they, they came in, they did this, they did, like I said, again, to their family member. So, of course, we got to go back and do it to their family member. But then again, like I said, you create that cycle.
Yeah, it's just a tit for tat.
And then, like I said, you get 20 generations in at that point.
Right.
Are we mad at each other?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. You just, in life where, you have spats with people or friends and stuff like that, or friends you stop talking to and literally can't remember what you was mad about. I mean, so that happens just with family and friends. So, I mean, but, as dismissive as just losing a friend, I mean, we're talking about, again, people losing lives. And, and again,
so still fight that fight. Obviously, we need to continue to fight that fight.
But we gotta do it more, especially because now that we've elevated so much. I mean, we've come a long way since sticks and stones. We've come a long way since bows and arrows, and now we got countries fighting for who can get ahead of the nuclear war, and that is where it gets real dangerous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
even if somebody doesn't die, that gives like cancer to miles and miles, the amount of people that were killed and hurt when the U.S. dropped bombs on Japan and got cancer for generations because the radiation stayed for generations. And they're making stronger stuff now.
Yeah, right.
So
and again, where we were ahead in that, we're not so much, So, I mean, other people gotten it, and so everybody's at this point where it gets to a point where we can't be amicable, and we can't. We looking at those kind of problems. And listen, that's I feel like that's how the start of almost every end of the world movie begins. And that's and that's what we don't want. We don't want the people to be at those positions and those controls, or can't really be in those positions, can't think level headed enough. And then we get to that extreme. And the whole thing about all this is just that we don't get to that extreme. Which once again, I don't know how we got here. But
I don't know either. Sorry, y'all. This wasn't supposed to be what it was about. But it is what it became. But that really just let's live like Bayard Rustin. That's and MLK and Gandhi. Let's live like the people that we talked about today. And if you have any ideas or topics that you either want us to talk about or you think are the fight that we need to be fighting, please comment. Please let us know. I'm serious. I really, I don't know how I am going to do it, but every single day I think about how can I make this world better, and I really want to do it.
And I feel like that too. That's why I try to be happy and as positive as can be, and greet everybody with a smile, and that infectious energy a little bit, because I do feel like the world has enough shit in it, to be a part of it. And I'm like, somebody has to, we got to be the better people. And I think if we all have that mindset, it's just oh man, just imagine
Lead with love.
What we really could do. And I know, like, people saying that forever and for so long, but it's so crazy how truly simple it is, and yet, really because of self, and I tell people all the time, like, if I was like, if people, like, I'll just say this, just, I like people, just love God and love each other, and love God and serve each other.
Yeah.
If if everybody just did those two things, man, listen.
And even if you don't like what or believe in a higher power,
right?
Almost all the ideals from every single religion are the same. Just treat people well, don't kill anybody, and lead with love. Okay, that's all you need to do.
Like, in life for everybody, because you think about just that alone, like leading with love and serving others. Just because. If I'm doing that, I'm constantly thinking about you. I'm constantly. I'm not trying to naturally just do anything that would hurt you or pose you, because I'm leading with love. I'm thinking about, okay, this is my brother, this is my sister. Despite what we look like, sound like, sexual orientation, whatever the case may be, even if we have opposing thoughts and ideas, we can still. I can still serve you, vice versa, and do it with respect and do it with love, like.
Yeah.
And
and that is one thing. One thing that I'll tell you real quick, and then I know we're about to go. But one thing that I personally am trying to get better at is, it's great to be aware, but if you build up this expectation in your mind that, like, for me, like, male presenting people, I just automatically want to protect myself and not lead with love. Like, it's only certain situations that I open myself up to lead with love, and I'm trying to work on that, because and I always, if they're female presenting or very feminine energy, then yes, I talk to them. I'm great. I'm open. I'm whatever. But if I see a masculine presenting person on the street, that I assume is male, then I avoid eye contact. I try not to talk to them. I try not to open up. And, I'm trying to let go of that, because I see the impact that it makes on me negatively. And then I also know that I don't open myself up to a great opportunity to maybe positively impact someone's life, or have them impact my life, and just share human connection that is very, very hard to find, because we are all on our technology now. Yeah. So it's like the thing that gave us the connection is also leading to us having no connection.
Yeah, right.
So,
that is true. That is so true.
I'm working on it. I'm being real where I am. But I know that that's unfair to, blanket as masculine energy just out of fear. I'm trying not to live out of fear. I'm on guard. I am aware if someone really gives me a bad vibe, I'm trusting that gut, but I'm really trying not to blanket it on people who look manly to me and look like they could hurt me. I'm not trying to assume that energy onto them.
Right, absolutely. And that's a definitely powerful statement. I think we all, all struggle with those things, different groups or whatever the case may be. But I think again, a lot of those things do come from, those
it comes from real experiences that have led me to think that way. Because there have been men who have physically hurt me. Right. But I cut myself off from opportunities to add to my life if I put my past onto someone who I haven't met. Now, if my gut's telling me something, that is my leader. Yeah, I trust that. But if I don't know, if I haven't even given myself an opportunity to engage my gut, then I'm trying to cut that off.
Right, yeah. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful, and big in that too. But again, like I said, we all are doing our job and serving one with love, then you won't even have those preconceived notions about anybody, because it's like, thinking about that, I mean, at the end of the day, a message that's so true and continue to last is, listen, we only have one race, and that's the human race.
Right.
And if we just treat each other, I mean, it's not even that hard to treat someone equally.
It's not.
Despite what you believe and what I believe can be different, I can still treat you equally despite our differences, and I mean that's the, I mean,
Yeah.
and you see it in other species and stuff all the time. For the most part, I mean, unless it's like too aggressive, aggressive dogs, and that's how they've been trained. Two dogs of different species can come up together, smell each other's butts and play. You know what I mean? Like,
so smell each other's butts today, y'all. That's what we need to do. That's how we get the life we want.
You know what I mean?
Sniff that booty,
Sniff
baby.
That booty. You know what I'm saying? Sniff it. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's all good. I mean, like I said, other species are exactly the same. There's different species of that. It's not species, but it's a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different.
I don't know why. My first thought was brands, and that's wrong.
Right, that's right.
So, and then I was like breeds, and that's still wrong. I mean, breeds of dogs, but like not breeds as far as animals. So it would be species, I guess, of animals. I guess. I don't know. Let us know.
I don't know. Right, species of okay. Wait, you know what I mean though.
It's late night conversations. Y'all know. Y'all know, fine.
Right? So, but but I think if those other species can do it, that and we're supposed to be the higher one and more intellectual. Then I feel like what's our issue? What's our disconnect? You know what I mean?
And I think a lot of that is like undoing what people have been taught in society, and then undoing what we have learned through fear, and living more with love and in the moment with presence.
Yes.
Because if we lead with love and we are in the moment, then really we can handle anything.
Right, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So, you got anything?
No, that was all I
Yeah.
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 So,
that's what we got for y'all. Okay.
Thank y'all.
We hope you enjoyed. Come join us next week.
Absolutely.
And every week after that. So,
absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Love you. Bye.